All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ, all the way over there in Los Angeles, California. A lot of Los Angeles guests on this show this week. Got Evan Sowards in Los Angeles. We've got now Cousin Logan, his grand appearance on inaugural appearance, his first appearance here on the program. Cousin Logan, how's it going?
Glad to be here. And, I thought I would get here before Uncle Dave, but all things take time.
Well, to be fair, Uncle Dave's got the connection with Tennessee. You don't have the Tennessee connection yet. You got the NFL connection.
I got in there, but COVID.
Yeah, that was not great. But no, Dave has been on. Cousin Sam was on a couple times. My dad.
Well, that makes sense. All that other stuff makes sense. No, just kidding.
Florida State. Yeah, no.
Love you, Uncle Dave.
He's gonna get so mad. I'm gonna send this to him. Yeah. Already taking shots right out of the gate. No, but it's and then I think I had your dad on years ago to talk some Spurs. Yeah. But yeah, it's been some time.
Only thing he knows about basketball.
Well, this program is, I like to blend professional athletes, coaches, writers, and then family and friends. So I like the blend. I don't like it all being one particular thing. So the more, the merrier. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on this program, Logan. So we have some NFL stuff we have to talk about here.
Definitely.
It's going to be fun. This opening weekend was top notch. This was there were big games everywhere. Obviously, the Jags coming back was sensational from 27 down, 27-0, and now you're looking at this weekend where it's an NFL dream, right? Like if you're Roger Goodell, like what the AFC looks like right now is just that's what you want every year. You want Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen in the Final Four at just every playoff divisional round if possible. Like that is just the bread and butter of this sport and what separates it from literally every other professional sports league and even college football. It's just you're not going to get this kind of top tier QB talent all in a do or die scenario like this. We saw it last year with Josh Allen versus Mahomes in Kansas City, which was one of the all-time best playoff games ever, and obviously the controversy with the overtime rules and all that happened. But when you look at this weekend, the best game, if you had to guess, we know it was Jacksonville, Los Angeles last week. If you had to guess of the divisional round opponents, both in the NFC and the AFC, what do you think is going to be the best game?
For me, I think this is a pretty obvious answer. The Bills versus the Bengals. It's a matchup we've been waiting to see since the Lamar Hamlin incident. It's, there's a lot of emotion and, I think this game is just going to be one that is going to be a close game, but I see the Bills coming out on top as predicted. And I think that, out of any game, it's pretty easy to see like this one has a lot of meaning, because in my time, I played football for 12 years and I've been watching it since I was 6 when I started playing football, and to see something like that on the field, it just it's bone chilling. And I think everybody just wants to see those teams finally compete. And, obviously all I hope is that Lamar Hamlin makes a full recovery, comes back to the NFL. But for me, that's easily going to be the most interesting game to watch.
Were you surprised that the Bengals are dogs coming into that game based on what we saw from the Bills against the Dolphins last week?
I'm just not surprised at that at all. The Bengals barely were able to squeak out against the Ravens last week, and that was solely, there is, an obvious chance that they could have won the game even if they hadn't gotten that return for a touchdown on the 1 yard line. Like that was pivotal to the game. And if you're squeaking out from that week like that, I just think Miami was a much better team that the Bills had to face. So I don't think the Bengals look like a Super Bowl contending team right now when they're coming against the Bills, who have had a pretty solid season both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And Josh Allen is just a robot in the backfield when he needs to. It's like you can't blame him for his loss in the game last year. That was just Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes doing what they do, and Josh Allen doesn't play defense. So I'm going to have to give that one to the Bills. I'm not surprised.
I kind of am. Like, it's a 5.5 line as we're recording. I'm all in. The Bengals have obviously won 9 straight here. Joe Burrow's rolling all over again, and he is embracing this, being the dog. He enjoys this. Last year, no one saw the Super Bowl run coming. A lot of people like myself wondered. I mean, we know how it works for a lot of Super Bowl losers, where the following year it's usually a rough year and come back down to earth situation. And you also don't see, like, your Rams don't have the 5-12 year following a Super Bowl win either. Like, that's extremely rare coming off a Super Bowl victory.
Well, it's the first one. We're the worst.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
It sucks to suck, but at least we got that Super Bowl, right?
Exactly. And hey, Sean McVay's back. Matthew Stafford's back next year. We'll see what. And Aaron Donald's back. It's kind of wild that all three. I would never have guessed that at this point that they would all be running it back, but they are, and that's good for Los Angeles. But the Bengals, like you said, they played with their food a little bit with Baltimore, and Baltimore obviously did not have Lamar Jackson in that one. And who knows how that game goes if there's not that fumble 98-yard recovery.
Yeah, and you have to remember that's the 2019 MVP they're missing. They're not just missing a wide receiver or defensive end. They're missing one of the most important keys to their team. And so that's why I think I don't think Tyler Huntley's a bad player. I watched him in college. I actually went to the Pac-12 championship when he played against Justin Herbert and the Oregon Ducks. And I think he's a great player. It's just he's not Lamar Jackson caliber, and I think Lamar Jackson's in that game. I don't know if he fumbles it on the 1 yard line, I think he might, people call Lamar a running QB, but he's a smart guy, and that was a mistake that shouldn't have been made, You can't risk the ball when you have, other downs, when you have, you're that close. 99 yards. It was just ridiculous. So I think Lamar Jackson could have definitely changed that game.
Absolutely. I will say too, anyone who's not picking just the over in Bills Bengals, you're just throwing money away. Like, this game, with what we've seen from the Bills secondary to this point, Tre'Davious White has not been the same since tearing his ACL and coming back from that. Obviously injured in the back end, their safety spot. I don't know. I think the secondary is pretty weak, and if you ever are in a situation where you're like, Von Miller obviously not being a factor anymore, and he was just killing it with Buffalo before he went down with his torn ACL. And you look at it, and I mean, they have guys. Greg Rousseau's been really good out of Miami. Matt Milano, obviously an elite linebacker, Pro Bowler, but I think Joe Burrow is going to be able to dice this Bills secondary up, and Skylar Thompson had his way, and the Dolphins had a lot of opportunities to just steal a win in Buffalo last week. I don't think Buffalo has the defense to run the gauntlet. I think this is a worse team than they were a year ago. Josh Allen makes everything. Josh Allen is just, like you said, a robot, but he's also he's going to keep them in the game. So the Bengals and Bills, I think, is going to come down to the wire. I just think this is going to be super high scoring. I think this is going to be like 45-42, something like that. I think both teams, like Stephon Diggs on like Eli Apple, might be something we see in this one. I think there's going to be mismatches everywhere on the perimeter for both teams, and I think it might be a situation like Bills Chiefs last year, where it's whoever has the ball last. But I'm leaning Bengals. I think everything is riding in their direction right now, and I think from a fan standpoint, what I would prefer to see, I mean, everyone would want to see, I guess, Bills at Chiefs in the AFC title game and that rematch. I think I would rather see Bengals at Chiefs than an AFC title rematch, because I am I would be very curious to see if Burrow and this Bengals defense is able to do what they did to Patrick Mahomes and make him look silly in that AFC title game last year at home, where like he was just out of his mind. Tyreek Hill was super upset on the sideline. Like, they really just flustered and ruined Patrick Mahomes' title chances last year in a really stunning way. But I'm wondering if they could do it in back-to-back years. That's just legendary stuff from Joe Burrow and this staff, if they're able to flip the script. But I don't know. When you look at it, like, do you think the Bengals, it is it here? Like, you don't think that the run continues and they get to 10 games, and you think the Bills keep this magical run going? Or do you think the Bengals ultimately win here?
I see the Bills winning, but I have like mad love for Joe Burrow. Like I just love the guy. You know, coming from a family that's pretty much diehard Tennessee, it's kind of hard to say that when the guy came out of LSU, but
Mm.
he's just like such a stand-up guy. Love him on and off the field, and I honestly I love Josh Allen too, but either of these guys I'd be happy to see win. But yeah, like you said, I think it's going to come down to the wire and could be, one of those games where it's, yeah, the last one who has the ball wins the game. Because, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of injuries on the defense, and it could be a very high scoring game. And yeah, I'm surprised that's not the bet I chose for this week.
Either way, I'm just excited to watch it.
What is the over under on that?
Let me pull it back up. Bills, Bengals. Let me pull that up real quick. 110. Oh no, game total is set at 48.5.
Wait, I was like 110 is not. Nobody's ever scored that many points.
Yeah, no, 48
and a half. Yeah, I could easily see them doing that.
Yeah, 48.5 is just absolutely. Yeah. I guess the 110 is like if you're betting on both. And like that's what you're doing. But yeah, no, 48.5.
That's the spread.
Yeah. I think they're going to do that. I would take the over on 48.5, which is kind of wild, but I think this will be a back and forth affair. You mentioned Lamar Jackson, Logan. I'm curious, now that Greg Roman is out in Baltimore, he will not be the offensive coordinator. We'll see where they go. Maybe they can get Kubiak back in. Maybe they get his son, Clint Kubiak, in there as OC. I don't know where they go. Mark Trestman, bring him back. There's all kinds of options that they can go. I think that's a pretty appealing offensive coordinator job. We'll see what happens, but I think they're probably going to wait to see what the quarterback situation is before they take an offensive coordinator job with Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, though, if you had to guess, or not even guess, if you had to say the best landing spot, if it's not Baltimore for him this offseason, where would you most like him to go? Where do you think he would best fit?
So if you look back to when Lamar Jackson won the MVP, they went 14-2. You see that who are his wide receivers? These guys are nobodies. Like Willie Snead, they're not superstar, not super high caliber. So I think you need to focus on finding Lamar Jackson an offensive line that can suit his ability to run and pass at the same time. So many of the offensive lines in the league already have the best offensive lines have some of the best quarterbacks right now. It's not like Dallas is going to give up Dak or, Tampa Bay is going to give up Brady. Like they're not going to give up certain players. So the best team I think that's suited that doesn't have a true franchise quarterback with a decent offensive line, I'd say the Seattle Seahawks.
So what I think that Geno they have there?
Do you look at Geno like he's a franchise guy?
I think Geno was really, really good this year.
I think he was too.
Very efficient, high completion percentage, vet. I think he's a ready to win now. He kind of reminds me of like Ryan Tannehill a couple years ago in Tennessee, where like I don't think he'll ever be like one of the 5 best quarterbacks. But if you have an elite talent around him, if you have a great defense, if you have the right scheme, I think Geno Smith can win a title. I think he can go on a run. I think he can be like a Derek Carr or a Ryan Tannehill or an Alex Smith or just that super efficient veteran guy.
But none of those guys won the Super Bowl, did they?
They could have. I mean, like Ryan Tannehill was the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. Like you just want to be in play, and I think he's good enough to be in play for a lot.
No, I'm not saying those guys aren't good. It's just none of them actually went on and won a Super Bowl.
Well, only one does every year. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard winning the Super Bowl.
Not for Brady, apparently.
Outside of Brady. I don't know. I think that I hadn't considered Lamar in Seattle as a possibility, but that is, I mean, you pair him with DK, they obviously are going to have a top 3 pick.
And think about what you could get for Geno Smith in this year after like a good season, what you could get in value for him to put around Lamar. Like, or, Lamar is going to be more than Geno, but.
That's an interesting question, though, of like who would you trust more of the next 2 years? If you're a contender right now, based on what you saw from Geno and Lamar's knee stuff down the stretch here, like who would you tie your win now team to over? Like if you're the Jets and you're considering Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo, but if Lamar Jackson and Geno, I mean, I'm sure Geno doesn't want to go out to New York based on how that ended years ago, but like teams like that where you feel like your defense is good enough, you feel like you have the offensive playmakers, you have the wideouts that you just plug in a vet who has high upside, who's going to be super efficient, complete a bunch of passes, and not lose games for you. Like, I don't know. I would be tempted to go Geno more often than Lamar around the league with some of these openings. I really would.
Yeah,
Geno was really good this year, and he was healthy. He's big.
It's not false, but it's just hard to say I would take Geno over Lamar Jackson. Like this could have just been a good run for Geno this year. It's like when I say our division, the Rams division, where were the NFC?
The NFC West.
Yes, we're the NFC West, and just besides the 49ers, 4 of those games they were playing against pretty crappy teams. Like I'm going to say it myself. The Rams sucked and Cardinals sucked. They're not playing in the best division. Yes, they made playoffs, yes.
Yeah, they got blown out. They were in it. They were up on the Niners
they played
at the half.
Yeah, it was the Niners, yeah. So we played within our own division. And, oh my God. I could not believe that play where I can't remember the defender's name, but he got the late hit with 1 second left, on Geno Smith before the second half. Mm-hmm. If I was a 49ers fan and that cost me a game, I'd just be calling for the man. I would lose my mind.
Well, there were back-to-back dumb things because Shanahan pooch kicked, which I never understand. Like, why anyone does that anymore. Like, stop doing that. I don't know why we keep doing that. It's such a dumb thing. It's how Tennessee beat Georgia years ago. Like, the pooch kicks are just stupid. Like, there's no reason. Kick it out
gets you close enough to throw it or and I just could not believe 1 second. This 1 second is going to run off as soon as the play is over, and this guy just. What did you get out of that? But
I think that was Tard, if I remember correctly. I think it might have been. I think it was. Jacob.
Yeah, I was just having trouble remembering who the Seahawks played, but I definitely have to take Lamar Jackson. He's younger. He's an MVP, and there's never been anybody to run. Even Michael Vick couldn't keep up with this guy. It's like Vick might have even been faster, but the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson is untouched. It's crazy that there are only 2 people even close to Michael, or there's only one person even close to Lamar Jackson, which is Michael Vick. And Lamar Jackson just does it better and, didn't have the complications in the middle of his career.
What's also interesting? Like if you go through NFL total QBR for this year, like Mahomes and Allen are 1-2. No surprise there. Number 3, though, Tua. 4, Jalen Hurts. 5, Jared Goff, your old friend. Geno, 6th. Daniel Jones is 7th. Jacoby Brissett, 8th. Lamar, 9th. Joe Burrow, 10th. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, well, I had Tua on my fantasy team, so that worked well for me.
Not bad. Who would you guess was last in EPA in total QBR this year for the NFL? Of all the qualified starters, there's 31.
EPA?
Yeah.
What's that stand for?
Expected points added. Like, just for that particular quarterback. Who would you guess was league worst? And it wasn't even particularly close.
This includes only people that played for basically the entire season, not people that were coming in and out?
He played enough to qualify. I'll say that. So
What's playing enough to qualify?
I don't know. Let me see what the... He must play 20 plays per team game. A player must play a minimum of 20 action plays per team game.
On average?
Yeah. So he had to get at least 20 snaps on average a game.
Crap. This is a tough one.
Do you want me to tell you?
I don't think it's Derek Carr, but I'm going to guess Derek Carr.
It's not Derek Carr. He was 13.
I know
there.
It's not him. I know it's somebody I'm just... who is it?
Baker Mayfield.
I was going to say that. Oh, my God. I was about to say, does Baker Mayfield count? Because I didn't know if he played enough.
He did. Baker Mayfield was league worst.
Yeah. I'm at my friend's house right now, and he's a big Raiders fan. And I watched the game here, and he's sitting there, just giving it to me the whole game, making fun of me. And then Baker Mayfield,
The Thursday night game. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, we're not going to make the playoffs, but at least we're going to beat his team. That was amazing. That was right after Brady had done it like the night before.
Well, that was also like Baker got in and like didn't know the playbook. Like he'd been there for like less than 48 hours, and he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna come in and start slinging it around. We'll see what happens. And it was fun. That was like an all time just horrific.
They didn't. The only number they had he could wear was 17. That's why he wore it. Yeah, I guarantee you he would have worn 11 if he could have, because that was, I believe, his high school number. And when he came to the NFL, he thought about wearing it again, but he went back to 6.
So final thing on Lamar, though. Your best guess. Where do you think he is playing week 1 next year, if you had to guess right now?
In Baltimore.
You think he's back?
Yeah, I don't think they want to lose Lamar.
Okay.
Like, he's already a part of that city, and, an MVP is no small feat, and it's not like he's been really, really bad. It's just a lot of injuries, and, you can't play well when you're not playing. So I see Lamar coming back. I don't see Baltimore wanting to, part ways with him quite yet. I don't think they want to see what they can really get out of him.
Okay. Do you think the Cowboys should roll with their kicker this weekend? I saw they brought in competition, man, and I'm like, this is insane. Like, I don't even know if that's better for their health, right? Like the mental health, where it's like you already have like the yips with the extra points. You kept sending him out there, which was bonkers to me. And now you bring in competition. I don't really understand that. Like, either cut him and then bring in a new guy, or just say we're running it back with him. I don't know. Peyton was like losing his mind in the broadcast during that game of Monday night. I just think kickers scare me already so much that I'm like, no, we're moving on. Like, he's been great all year. It was super weird, but like, you cannot rely on him in this kind of environment next week. Like, there's no way I'm kicking with this guy. And I think they're doing a competition. I guess he's going to kick, but like, I don't know. What would you do? If you're a Cowboys fan, are you terrified of this week's developments?
Oh, yeah. There's no way you're not going to be terrified. You're going to have to do something either way that's not going to make you really uncomfortable, because when somebody misses 4 PATs in a row, it's like, that's unheard of. This guy missed 3 the entire season, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's just something... I feel bad for him. You got your friends and your family watching, and everyone you ever knew growing up, they're all cheering for you, and you just are crap in the bed your first experience, in the playoffs, the first time like it matters most. And I don't think that it gets any better next week, because like maybe his kicking gets better, but he's going to be as nervous as anybody else, like in that stadium, which is a bad sign. And bringing in another kicker, that is definitely something that is not good for your kicker's confidence. You just went from being a part of this team, a part of this franchise, a part of this Super Bowl run, to possibly not being part of any of it in the very next week.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. Like, this man is thinking about his future career, and there's just so much that goes into it. I would be very, very nervous, but I think it comes down to who are these other people you're bringing in? Do they have playoff experience? Have they proved themselves on an NFL field? Like, college has wider field goals. And so obviously you're going to make more then. It's like, it's all about precision here, and I need somebody that I know is going to be precise. And people are like, it's easy to forget after missing 4 simple PATs that this guy, I forget which game it was this season, but I remember when he hit, it was 2 60-yard field goals, I think, in a game. And then one of them, he kicked twice and made both times, because I think they called a timeout right before. But the guy nailed 3 60-yard field goals, which is something I've never seen. And never seen anybody hit from that range. So I really think it does come down to, his mental, just to his thoughts alone, because he obviously has the physical ability to do these things, and
it's just
he's
mental.
a very talented kicker. But when you get in those big game situations, it's like, Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't be any better at it. Like I start shaking when I speak in front of a speech class. But
You're
it,
doing okay
yeah,
here. How
yeah, it
nervous are you
makes
right now?
not really. You know,
See?
I'm talking to a mic, and I'm not in front of a ton of people that I don't know, so it's not that bad.
There
But
you go.
this guy is in front of 30,000 people just around him, and then he knows millions of people are watching, and the cities are depending on him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a lot of weight to hold on your shoulders, and the only way he's going to be able to prove it is if he does it next week. And there's no guarantee. You're not going to feel good about it. But my question is, did he hit a PAT at the end of the game?
Yeah, he made
His
the fifth
one?
Yeah, he made the
I
fifth
think
one.
that is a little important to his confidence. Because once miss one, it's going to be twice as embarrassing if you miss two in a row, and then it's going to be three times embarrassing. And, it just gets more and more embarrassing. So there's more pressure almost every kick. Now that he's finally sunk one, I think he'll be all right. I wouldn't rush to bring in a new kicker, because if you're going to sit there and hold tryouts, all you're going to do is deflate his confidence. You're not going to make him feel any better, or it's just not going to help your situation. So unless you're pretty sure you're going to bring somebody else in, I'm just going to stick with him.
I would have moved on. My gut, or I'm not kicking. Like, I think that should be on the table. Like, you're against the Niners anyway, who look like Georgia of the NFL right now on both sides of the ball. Like, Purdy is channeling his inner Stetson Bennett. Like, I'm just going for two every time anyway. Like, if I'm the Cowboys, that's my strategy against the Niners. We're not even putting it to chance. I'm not doing this. Like, 31 points on 5 touchdowns last week. That's insane. You can't have that. And I'm not risking it with these kickers. So I'm very fascinated to see what ultimately the Cowboys do, but I think they're going to play it safe and hope that he's over it, and that fifth one got him through it.
So
but
you're talking about not even taking PATs this
No, I'm
week.
saying it's out of no, I'm over it. Like, we're not risking it. We're going for 2. We're dogs against probably I would say the favorites to win the NFC right now.
But what's going to be your go-to play if you're going for 2? Are you going to be passing short pass, or are you're going to try to rush it up the
bootlegs?
middle? Or?
Like Dak on the bootlegs, man. Misdirection. They do CD Lamb in motion all the time.
I was about to say,
pre-snap.
I wouldn't trust rushing the ball up the middle.
No.
With Ezekiel or Tony Pollard
Not against
right
the
now.
Niners.
It's just it hasn't looked good
No.
in the last couple weeks.
Probably Dalton Schultz gets involved a lot for me. Sneaky important storyline for the divisional round games for you. What is the most interesting storyline that you're intrigued by this weekend?
Well, for this weekend, I'm pretty excited because one of my buddies from high school, one of my teammates, he plays for the Giants. He's the starting nickel, Darnay Holmes. So he's playing against the Eagles. So I'm cheering my boy on. Hopefully they'll get that upset. So that's a big storyline for me. But I think one of the biggest storylines overall is Trevor Lawrence. Like, what is this guy going to do? If he goes on to win a Super Bowl, somehow this would be one of the craziest seasons you had ever seen, just because of that comeback against the Chargers. Nobody saw that coming except for me. I bet on it when it was plus 550 and they were down 17. You know your boy. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think, is the big storyline right now. I want to see what he does, and I would like to see the Jacksonville Jaguars finally win a Super Bowl.
That'd be cool.
And
Cousin Sam would like
that'd
it.
definitely be cool. Yeah, we go down to Jacksonville and have a little party.
Duval. Absolutely.
Duval.
Like, it looked fun. That was a fun vibe. I knew a lot of people who were there. JP Acosta of SB Nation, who was on Monday night. He was there in the building, like, just euphoric, and that's just it's a good time. And when you have your guy in Trevor Lawrence for the next 10 years, there's not a better feeling in sports, I don't think, than realizing you have your franchise quarterback right at the beginning of their prime, and it's like, oh, this is going to be awesome for the next 10 years. Like, it's just every year we have a chance to win a title because we have one of the 5 to 7 needle mover quarterbacks, and it's fun because you never know when the next time you're going to get it. Like, the Chiefs went decades without this guy, and they finally got Patrick Mahomes, who got him there, and it's fun. It turns out it's pretty fun when you have a franchise quarterback. You can make one NFL bet this weekend, Logan. You only get one. What is the bet that you make?
I don't know if I'm going to stand by this, but I do see all the favorites winning this week.
No upsets.
No, but if there is going to be an upset, it's going to be the Giants because of my boy.
Okay.
Watch out for the Darnay Holmes pick six.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the 49ers covering -4. So the 49ers beating the
Cowboys.
Cowboys by 4. Yes.
Really? So you have all favorites, and you think the Giants are the most likely upset team of anyone?
Man, they're the one I'm hoping upsets. If anybody's going to upset, it's going to be the Giants. Yeah.
I think the Giants have a better chance of beating the Eagles than the Cowboys have a chance of beating the Niners. And then the AFC, I would be pretty surprised if the Jags go into Kansas City and win. Like, that would really, really surprise me. It's one thing to beat the Chargers and deal with those demons and just the Chargers being the Chargers and the Falcons of the AFC. It's another thing to go into Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes in his first playoff game this year. I don't see it. Like, this would be some legendary stuff from Trevor Lawrence to do that in back-to-back weeks. And
that's what I'm saying, man, is he could right now like place himself in NFL history.
Yeah. If he does this, he's never lost on Saturdays. The dude, he loves winning football games on Saturdays. And then you look at it, I mean, if he wins that one, then he gets matched up with either Burrow, who he faced in the national championship in 2019, which people forget. Like, that'd be a national championship college football rematch that we haven't seen, and that's pretty rare in the sport. Or you get Josh Allen and the Bills, the best story against the other best story in Jacksonville. So I don't know. I think either way, the AFC is far more interesting to me than the NFC. I think the NFC is still just the night. Like, I will be floored if the Niners do not win the NFC at this point. I think both sides of the ball, they're healthy. Debo, McCaffrey, Purdy, Bosa, just dudes everywhere, and they are just pulverizing folks. I would be floored if the Niners don't run through. You could sell me on all 4 of the AFC remaining teams winning the AFC, which is pretty amazing.
So you like my pick?
I do like your pick. Yeah.
All right, good.
I like your pick.
All right.
Last thing. The best available NFL head coaching job is what, would you say? If you had to advise all the coaches who are looking and interviewing, who would you say and recommend? You're like, okay, this is probably the best job for me.
All right. I got a head coach, but I didn't get an offensive coordinator. I didn't look into that. But when they finally, decide to fire Brandon Staley, as they should.
No, he's back. that's booked.
I know. I was just kidding. I was like, when they do, next season, like mid-season, that'll be the best job. But for now, I'd say the Carolina Panthers because the future. Well, think about it. It's the future. The teams you're gonna have to play are the Saints, which don't have much cap space, so they're not looking at signing really, really big names over the next couple of years. The Falcons were from Atlanta. I think you know how that goes.
They're the favorites. Falcons are in good shape right now. They're building. Falcons they're moving. Arthur Smith,
but they're not great. They're not like a huge contender. We're not worried about they're not the Buffalo Bills that we have to worry about.
They're building a souped up Tennessee Titans.
And then you have Tampa Bay that is soon going to come off of a Brady retirement.
Yeah,
it could be now. It could be next year. He could play for the next 500 years. I don't know.
But I don't think he's back in Tampa Bay regardless.
Yeah. So when you have Brady moving out, people are going to move out with Brady. Brady attracted so many names to that team, and when they get bigger contracts somewhere else, they're going to go because Brady's not here anymore, and they're not after that Super Bowl run with this team anymore. So the Panthers have a good shot at a very bright future if they can be coached right and they can, use trading away, Christian McCaffrey this year, if they can use getting rid of people like Baker Mayfield to their advantage to sign better players. I think that is you come in with a very bad team and it's not that hard to make it better and not even that hard overall to make it a winning team in this division. So I think if I was a coach, that would be the opportunity I would be eyeing because it's
Defense
just not that much competition in your own division. And I'm not coming in. yeah, I'm not coming and coaching a team that just came off of a Super Bowl where I have these super high expectations to get back to the playoffs immediately. It's like I have time here to build a team, and the teams around me aren't that good. So to me, that seems like a good spot for a head coach.
Yeah, no quarterback tied up. You get to pick your own quarterback. You can really develop. And like you said, the market in Charlotte's not just dying to get a winner. And I think David Tepper has shown, coming from the Steelers organization, being a minority owner there before buying the Panthers and giving Matt Rule as much time as he did, 11-27 during his time. Not a lot of wins, but he gave him time. And I think the next coach, it seems like he is more in the Dan Rooney's like this, and then I think Arthur Blank's like this too, where they're very loyal and give guys a lot of runway before making any kind of head coach firing. So I think that's a more stable job, especially than like Arizona, where who knows what that's like year to year. And do you want to coach Kyler? And then you have the Broncos. Do you believe that you can fix Russell Wilson because that's your guy? So if you don't believe you can fix Russ, then you should stay away from that job. For me, it's Houston, where they have so many picks. And I think they've drafted really well in the last 2 years. I've really liked their draft last year. You mentioned the division. It's the same kind of thing where the AFC South, yeah, Trevor's in your division, and that's going to be a problem year over year. But like Colts, the Titans are at the end of their dominance. I think there is enough there where I'm like, if I'm Houston, I'm going to take this job. Another low stakes job, and I don't think they're going to be firing coaches 3 years in a row. So I think you'll probably get a little bit more runway in Houston. So I don't know. Carolina, I like that one. Cousin Logan, this was great. This is your first appearance in the pod. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like I did a good job.
There you go. And always humble is what the Thomas gene comes through there. Yeah.
Yes. Always
All right,
humble.
man. Well, thank you for making the time. We'll have to do this again soon. And until then, tell the fam I said hello, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you.